Just ahead of News Channel 13, the Senate pushes the death penalty a giant step closer to becoming law. We'll have a live report.
Plus, teachers lash out at the governor's budget cut plans, and a lottery ticket turns a couple into multi-millionaires.
Next on News Channel 13, we will have a live report from the Capitol where the Senate has approved the death penalty. Also, New York's teachers want more money to get their job done, and we'll tell you how you can help fix our roads.
This is the Capital Region's #1 late news. News Channel 13, live at 11.
Tonight's top story, the legislative logjam breaks. New York is becoming the 38th state to return a death penalty to the legal books.
Good evening. The state Senate acted first, while debate continued late into the night in the Assembly. Bill Lambdin is live at the Capitol with a status report on where the measure stands right now. Bill?
Chris and Ed, the lights are on here at the Capitol. The debate continues. The Assembly is working on its 6th hour, and they're still going. Now, although both houses of the legislature have routinely passed a death penalty for more than a decade now, this time the debate took on a much different tone now that a supporter is in the governor's office ready to sign. Protest signs were piled by the dozens at a security checkpoint just outside the Senate gallery. Demonstrators from a religious sect, including many children, had hoped to display their placards directly to legislators, but the rules forbid that. But on the legislative floor, Rochester area Senator Dollinger had his own visual aid to protest death by lethal injection.
We're going to fill this with what I think is the greatest venom present in our society today, pure and simple vengeance. That's what this is all about.
Midway through the 4.5-hour Senate debate, the Assembly also began discussing the death penalty, which allows prosecutors to seek the penalty for certain types of murders, including the killing of police, witnesses, terrorism, and torture. Once again, Amsterdam's Lemuel Smith figured prominently, convicted of 2 murders, believed responsible for at least 2 others, when he viciously killed rookie prison guard Donna Payant. Assemblyman Kaufman.
What do you do with a guy that commits 5 murders and then commits a 6th murder in prison? You give him another life without parole, and then he does something else. You give him another life without parole.
Governor Pataki plans to sign the measure possibly within 24 hours. He wants to make it a ceremonial occasion.
I'm going to be talking to those who have been helpful to me in seeing it adopted. Widows of police officers, people whose families have been victimized by crime, parents of police officers who have been killed, to ask them their view as to when they think it's appropriate that I sign it.
Assuming the Assembly does what both supporters and opponents of the death penalty expect them to do and approve the measure, it would go into effect September 1st. So it's not urgent that the governor sign it within a day or 2. He has time if he wants to take it. And both supporters and opponents of the death penalty are predicting it could be a decade or more before the first person would be executed under the law here in New York State. Chris?
Thanks, Bill. We'll check back with you to see if the Assembly votes before the end of this newscast. Former Governor Mario Cuomo now says he believes the death penalty issue may have cost him the election. And at the center of that campaign debate was Thomas Grasso. Today, reporters were shown the chambers where Grasso will receive a lethal injection in 2 weeks in Oklahoma. In 1993, Mario Cuomo brought Grasso back to New York to serve time for a murder here. After Cuomo was defeated last November, Governor Pataki kept a campaign promise to send Grasso back to Oklahoma, where he was sentenced to death for murder. Grasso's execution will be the 4th in Oklahoma in the past 5 years.
The state's 2nd largest teacher and school employees union is now planning a massive lobbying of the state legislature. The National Education Association of New York met tonight in Albany to plan their annual lobby day. 200 teachers from across the state will meet with individual legislators tomorrow. The NEA says the governor's proposed budget cuts to education are the most severe they have ever seen.
Aspect of the government in this state, and that we need to, for the economic development, the future of New York State, make sure that we fund education so that our students get the best education possible.
The NEA calls the governor's proposed budget, in their words, a disaster to education.
The way the governor's proposed budget cuts affect the poor and minorities spurred a march from New York City to Albany. Hundreds of people set off on the 170-mile trek today, led by a cross-section of clergy, including the Reverend Al Sharpton. He says the march purposely left today so that